Good afternoon. U.S. President Donald Trump says Iran and Israel agreed to a staggered ceasefire, but an Iranian official says there was no agreement so far. In a social media post on Tuesday Manila time, Trump says the two Middle Eastern countries agreed to a complete and total ceasefire. Trump says the ceasefire is a phased 24-hour process. He says the ceasefire begins at around noon Manila time, with Iran unilaterally halting all operations. He adds that Israel will follow suit 12 hours later. Trump says both sides agreed to remain peaceful and respectful during each phase of the process. However, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says there was no agreement yet between the two countries. He says Iran will no longer continue its military response if Israel stops its attacks. According to local officials on both sides, over a week of trading missile launches killed hundreds in Iran and 24 in Israel. The adversaries were swapping missile fire since Israel carried out surprise strikes against Iran on June 13, targeting nuclear and military sites. The U.S. joined the conflict over the weekend with unprecedented strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak assures that all 31 Filipinos from the Middle East are safe and sound despite the delay in repatriation. On his social media, Kakdak says he and the overseas Filipino workers already boarded a flight back to the Philippines as of Tuesday morning, June 24. In an earlier statement, Kakdak said their commercial repatriation flight from Doha was delayed due to the closure of Qatari airspace. Kakdak and the repatriates were initially scheduled to arrive in the Philippines at 8:30 a.m. The repatriates consist of Filipinos from Israel, Jordan, Palestine, and Qatar. He said officials and personnel from the Philippine Embassy provided the necessary assistance to the OFWs. He also thanked the Qatari Ministry of Interior for its swift response and for ensuring the security of all those affected. The disruption followed Iran's limited missile strike on a U.S. military base in Qatar. Iran's strike on the U.S. base was in retaliation for the American bombing of its nuclear sites. U.S. President Donald Trump announced early Tuesday that Iran and Israel agreed to a staggered ceasefire. However, an Iranian official said Iran will only halt military operations if Israel stops its attacks. Tensions escalated on June 13 after Israel carried out strikes on Iran's nuclear and military sites. Senator Robin Padilla files a resolution seeking the immediate repatriation of former President Rodrigo Duterte from the Netherlands, but the Senate rejects it. In a statement on Tuesday, June 24, Padilla's office says the senator filed a resolution on Monday afternoon, June 23. However, the Senate's Bills and Index section did not accept his resolution. This was because the 19th Congress already adjourned sine die on June 11. His office cites Rule 44 of the Senate Rules, which states that all pending matters and proceedings shall terminate upon the expiration of one Congress. Nevertheless, Padilla expresses his intention to refile the resolution in the 20th Congress, which convenes on June 30. According to Padilla, the immediate repatriation of Duterte would foster reconciliation and national unity. He says this will refocus government efforts on addressing pressing needs. The senator believes an investigation and prosecution by Philippine authorities will supposedly uphold national integrity. He says it will also uphold the Philippines' exclusive right to hold its citizens accountable under its constitution and legal system. At the minimum, Padilla says the government should secure former President Duterte's interim release to the Philippines under conditions acceptable to the International Criminal Court. He says this would be done without accepting ICC's jurisdiction over the country. Duterte is currently detained in The Hague, Netherlands. The former president is facing crimes against humanity charges before the ICC over his administration's brutal drug war. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.